I just got engaged to a man that just spent 13 years in prison, and he's been out for 5 months. So this is his first Valentine's Day since he was 19. He just moved into my house, and I just have to brag. I have never got flowers from a man before, but here I am.
Today I'm going to be giving you guys an update on one of the most egregious stories that I've ever covered here on my channel and I've ever seen on TikTok. And if y'all ever been on that short bus yellow app, y'all know there's some crazy mess that go on over there. But the fact that this story went so viral, it was on Twitter, it was on Instagram, made it to YouTube, it was on Facebook, it was everywhere because it was just insane. Y'all recall the lady that got engaged to a man after knowing him for only 6 weeks, then moved this man into her house after he had only been out of prison for 5 months for doing a 13-year sentence for attempting to assassinate random people in Walmart and during a Twilight premiere. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember that story. And if y'all don't remember that story, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all a little backstory to that story. This was the initial video that she posted on February. It was like February the 10th, right before Valentine's Day. She was talking about what her and her man was doing, or her fiance at that point. And she was really elated, and she came online and she made this initial video.
And he's been out for 5 months. So this is his first Valentine's Day since he was 19. He just moved into my house, and I just have to brag. I have never got flowers from a man before, but here I am. These are actually like at least 2 weeks old, and they're just now starting to kind of die. These are just a few days old, and I am obsessed. I have never had flowers before. He does very well. So, had to brag on that. But these are our Valentine's plants. Dollar Tree canvas. You paint the canvas one color. You put some painter's tape down directly in the middle. You guys put your hands on here, 2 different colors, and then let it dry. When you take the paint off, you'll put the date where the space is for the tape. Super cute. Got the idea off TikTok. Dollar Tree, can't beat that. I also got this at Dollar Tree.
Yeah, that video still makes my head hurt because I'm trying to figure out why on planet Earth would that be a good candidate? Why out of all men you would choose to align yourself with or associate with, why would it be that man? But anyway, that video went viral. Of course, everyone started making videos about it, trying to warn her to watch out because they didn't think it was a good idea for her to date a man with that type of past. People even thought that maybe she didn't know about his past. Maybe he lied about his past. Maybe she didn't know how dark his past was. But indeed, she did, y'all. They came online and they posted multiple videos just rage baiting the internet about their relationship. People were already shocked that she said yes to a man after only knowing him for 6 weeks, not 2 months, y'all. And then people thought that maybe they were trying to be on love after lockup and they were trying to do a roll-up by taking TikTok by storm. But no, they were in a serious committed relationship, and it wasn't a game and it wasn't for TikTok. They just happened to go viral. I'm gonna go ahead and read the post that she made in April verbatim. She said, "Imagine getting interrogated to the point you feel backed into a corner. Imagine thinking you're going to answer some questions but you never get to leave. Imagine not being in possession of any firearm, not being near that movie theater, having no plan to commit a crime. Imagine being sent away for 13 years for a victimless crime. Imagine getting out, bettering your life, all while everyone hates and misunderstands what actually happened that day." And this was the caption. It says, "What about victims? Question mark. How can you get an assault charge when no one was assaulted? How can you be found guilty of a major crime when no crime actually happened?" So again, she defended this man, and people was just kind of trying to tell her to just vet this man a little more and take your time. Y'all are moving too fast. But instead, she doubled down. She jumped online and defended this man because, you know, she was in love. She was in love. This was the first man that had ever been attentive to her. And I'm not saying people cannot make mistakes and come out reformed, but you have to look at statistics. Most people that go into jail, they end up getting out and doing the same thing again. Again, that's not everybody's story, but somebody that was convicted of something like this is a serious crime. That's what he said he intended to do. Let's watch this clip where he was incarcerated and he said why he had the mindset that he had.
And so my mom, and then 2 days later, she found a receipt in my jeans pocket, contacted the police. They came and found me at Sonic, and I already knew I was caught, so I told them I had plans to shoot at Walmart. It was just, I don't know what I was thinking.
Y'all thought that was peculiar. The plot thickens within 90 days of knowing this man. After being engaged, they got married, and she became pregnant. And she ended up coming on the internet letting people know that she did become pregnant at, I believe, 19 and 20 years old. And then she ended up giving her child away because she felt like she was not fit to be a mother for her children, because she was, I believe she said that she was struggling with bipolar disorder. So she didn't feel the need to take care of the child. She didn't have the mental capacity, and I commend her for that. Any parent that gives away their child because they feel like they don't have the mental capacity to do it, I commend them, because there's a lot of people in this world having children just because, and they cannot take care of the child. They don't have the mental capacity. They don't have the range. They don't have any resources to take care of a child, but they decide to keep the child, and then they wonder why the child grows up and they're committing crimes similar to Phoenix's boyfriend. I believe his name is Blake. I do understand there's other young mothers that took a different route and they decided to keep their child and go through poverty with their child, but everybody don't have the mental capacity to make that decision. So if you're a young mother and you decide to give away your child or to even abort your child, I think you are making the best decision for you, and I think that's perfectly fine. I would prefer that rather than you have the child, not be able to take care of the child. The child has a rough upbringing, and then they grow up and they're committing crazy crimes, or they're just not any value to society because they had a rough upbringing, because you knew you didn't have the mental capacity to raise a child. And again, some people decide to take the route to have the child, and other people, they know that they're not strong enough, so they give their child the opportunity to have a better life. I don't think anything is wrong with that, but that does just add more to the plot, because people got online and tried to overly analyze her situation when she announced that she and Blake was having a baby, because they were like, well, you couldn't raise the last two kids, so why you gonna have another child? You can't raise the last two kids. And she came back a couple months ago and she answered the question, and I honestly, I don't agree with a lot of the decisions that she's made, but that was one decision that I think makes sense. If you have the opportunity for your child to have a better life because you knew you were struggling with your mental health, why not to give them a chance at a better life? Y'all be seeing all these crazy stories of mothers unaliving themselves and taking their children. I remember last month there was just a story of a mother that unalived herself, and then she also had her kids in the car. Either she drove the car into a lake, or they said that she put bricks on them or something and she drove them into a lake, and then she perished and her children passed. And again, life is hard when you do not have a support system. So I'm happy that she made that decision for herself. But let's go ahead and see her response to everybody giving her kickback on deciding to keep this child when she decided to give her other two children up for adoption.
I have placed 2 children for adoption and I'm currently pregnant. Well, if I didn't keep those 2, 1, I don't deserve to be pregnant, or why am I going to keep this one now? So here's my answers. So I was 18 and 20. I'm 31 now. So this was over a decade ago. Things have changed. I'm different. I'm in a different place. And another thing that I share on this page is my struggle with mental health. So when I had both of those kids, I was misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was on all the meds. Like, I've probably been prescribed any and everything that's on the market. So that was a thing. Again, I was misdiagnosed. I had borderline personality disorder, and I just didn't know that yet. I didn't know that until maybe about 6 months after I placed my son for adoption, when I realized, like, well, if I'm bipolar, why are none of these meds helping me? And that's also a big reason I'm just not on meds now, because I've been through them. Like, I had BPD back then. I have it now. If something was going to help me, it would have. So that's a huge thing, is I was misdiagnosed with what I had. I did not know what BPD was. I didn't know how to handle it. And with my second one, I had severe postpartum depression. And instead of it being labeled postpartum depression, it was, oh, she's bipolar. So the mood swings and just a bunch of things that come with postpartum depression. I've also struggled with suicidal ideation almost my entire life, which is a huge red flag for postpartum depression that I was dealing with. But instead of a doctor being like, oh, she just had a baby, like, you know, oh no, we just need to switch your meds 20,000 times. And when that kept happening, I just stopped everything. I stopped taking everything, and I started feeling a little better. And that's when I knew something was wrong. So now I know I'm 7 years into borderline personality disorder. I understand it better. And honestly, being with Blake has calmed everything that I have dealt with it down, like, significantly. I don't deal with almost anything that I'm used to dealing with. So that's like a huge help. Another thing is 10 and 13 years ago, I would beat myself up because I thought I was failing if I had, at the end of the day, like dirty dishes in the sink, or like dirty bottles in the sink, or a ton of laundry. The baby's laundry needed to be done, or the house wasn't clean, or like I would beat myself up every night when I lay down. And I have realized that this is an issue, and I'm currently working on that in therapy and figuring out how do I avoid talking to myself like that, because realistically, the world's not going to end if there's dirty bottles in the sink. So it's just at 18 and 20, it felt like the end of the world. It felt like I was failing. And then the next thing is just like, I have people this time. And also I'm not afraid to ask for help. So like if I, like mental health wise, I'm not afraid to ask for help now. But also just in my daily life, like there is people, there is my mom, there's Blake, there's his parents. You know, I just didn't have that then. And the two dads of the other two children, like completely worthless. And in fact, like it would just make my life harder by calling them and asking them for help. Well, one of them I just wouldn't, but the second one, I specifically remember a day where I asked him for help. He worked overnight doing security. I called him like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I need you to get over here and help me. And he said, I've been up all night. I need to go to sleep. And I lost my shit because I'm like, yeah, well, I've been up all night with your screaming child. Like, get over here. Because both of my kids had reflux pretty bad. So there was just screaming, a lot of screaming. And so it's just like, I am aware of my weaknesses back then, and I'm doing everything I can to prevent them now. Like, I have people. I knew I was in the right place when Blake's mom told him, if her postpartum depression gets bad, you need to be prepared to take a lot of time off work so he can take care of us. And that means the world to me because I never got that. And it's just like, I know I'm in the right place and I know the things that I don't want to do again. And I don't believe that placing two children in a better situation, when I was 18 and 20, you're not an adult. Like you're still not thinking correctly. Here I am at 31. I just don't think that should mean I should never be a parent if I don't want. And if I didn't want to be a parent, this wouldn't be happening, or I would have done something to take care of it. Like, but that is just the answers to why I think this is okay. And if someone else has a different opinion, that's okay, because this isn't your life. And every day I am working toward not repeating the same things that I did last time that led me to those decisions. So that's just where we're at. And, you know, I knew opening up about my adoptions was going to be hard. Like, I'm not upset. I'm glad people are asking questions. But I can only see it so many times where it's like, oh, you don't, like, what makes you think having a kid now is okay when you've given up two? And the one thing is, like, I'm significantly older. I'm in a different place mentally and physically. I have a better support system. I have a better understanding of my mental health. And those are good enough reasons for me.
I personally feel like just because she gave her other two children up for adoption, that does not mean that she doesn't have the right to carry out this pregnancy and get another chance at being a mother. Because again, like she stated, she's in two different spaces in her life now. But of course, I'm sure the masses are thinking about the situation the child is being born into, which there should have been more questions asked. I don't think this will be an ideal situation for anybody to have a child with anyone in less than a year, because in less than a year, you could be hiding a crack addiction. Like, I had men that thought at one point were great candidates, but they were hiding gambling problems. They were addicted to alcohol. They were abusive. You can hide a lot if you do not really vet a person and know a person. But like she said, she's already here. And at this point, one of the main comments I seen under that video that she did decide to reply to was, you got engaged to a man that you only known for a few weeks, and you are diagnosed with mental disorders that have some pretty intense symptoms, and you're pregnant and not medicated. Babe, you need the meds. Just because you tried and it didn't work doesn't mean you don't need them. You just need to find the right ones. She responded back to that comment and said, medication is not the first line of treatment for PBD. And again, I'm sure if she's pregnant, she consulted a doctor. Somebody else also commented, because she posted this a day ago, Someone else commented and said, wait, y'all are still together? And she said, yes, married and thriving. She's happily married and they're going strong. And I have seen situations where people have got married and engaged to people after only knowing them for a short period of time, maybe not 6 weeks, but 3 months, 4 months. I have heard those miracle stories and it has worked out. I think people were just more concerned with the fact that he's a convicted felon and his chemistry in his brain. Like, for you to be having those thoughts, something mentally unstable is going on. No one just says, I wonder how it would be if I randomly went into Walmart and unalived a whole bunch of people that I do not know. That shows that something is not stable there. Again, she has her own mental disorder, so maybe that's why there's a disconnect there. Maybe that's why there's no discernment, or her sentiment is, well, nobody got hurt, and she probably can't think through that in the right way, or maybe she just processes things differently. But I think that was the main concern. If he wasn't a felon, I'm sure people would have been much more supportive of you. Hell, I know people that intentionally, they date people. They have apps where you can date men fresh out of prison. I don't know if that's a kink or what would be the appeal to want to date somebody out of prison when there's so many men that's free, when there's so many men that could vote, when there's so many men that can easily get a job without having to worry about if their criminal record is gonna keep them from making it to the second part of the interview. I do not get the appeal, but again, that's not for us to judge. Again, she said her man is thriving, and she's happy, and yeah, that's pretty much the update she's going through with her pregnancy. This has been one of the best pregnancies. I do want to say I like that she highlighted that she is not only in a different space mentally, but she has a supportive partner. She mentioned his mom saying that he would need to take off work if her mental health does get poor. So I'm happy that the man does seem to be reformed. Again, sometimes people do go into prison and they do come out better. It's still very early. She posted this. This is a 5-month update. That original video was posted back in February, and she had only known him at 6 weeks at that point. So who knows? I don't know. Again, I'm wishing her a safe pregnancy. I hope her and the baby is well. I would never wish bad on any couple. This situation did make me realize that the internet is a very dark place. She stated that she got off the internet completely because people were sending her deep threats because they were mad that she was with this man and not taking anybody's advice. Again, let me know how y'all feel about this. Do y'all want a year update when the baby comes? Because again, it does seem like she's trying to make a social media career out of this. Based on the things that I've seen her post, she has done little come with us to eat at this restaurant. Blake is trying something for the first time, so he didn't get to experience a lot of things. Here's a video of him basically trying a steakhouse for the first time. There was another video that she posted. Let me see. I think he was trying an arcade for the first time. He had never been to an arcade before. I believe he went in at 19. Yeah, he went in at 20. He was arrested at 19. So it was just a lot of things that he didn't get to experience. So they're documenting those things. She also showed little clothing hauls. So if that's the type of content that you're into, make sure you go ahead and follow them over on TikTok. Again, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what y'all think about this update.